right. Live? All right. Does this thing work? All right. Let me know if you can hear me. Y'all good looking sexy people doing all right out there in Happy Land tonight. Welcome to the transmission. Your ghetto grand wizard of the esoteric order of Aeon. Way out in the hood. Frank Monday coming at you. Hope you're doing well this evening. As per usual, I am your friend and well-wisher. Wherever you are, whoever you are, and whenever you may be receiving this transmission, why don't you go check me out at www.buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. Put a little something in the tip jar. Y'all good-looking people. Hit the likes for the YouTube. You know how that goes. 100-day challenge, Pathways of Magic. Pathways of the Magic. See, that's wrong. It just should say magic. I guess I forgot to edit that. Pathways of Magic. There you go. Maybe that'll work this time. Try it again. Booyah. I like to start off the show with the adoration of Abraxas. Holy art thou, Lord of the universe, the vast and the mighty one, creator of heaven and earth, maker of all things visible and invisible, master of both the light and the darkness, he who was, is, and always shall be. We adore thee and we invoke thee. Send us one of your divine spiritual agents, our holy guardian angel, to protect and guide us through the innumerable snares of the earthly realm, and a cleansing wind to disperse all negativity and endless human opinion. Teach us those things which we must know for the completion of the great work and the glory of thine ineffable name, Adonai. All right, good magic. Hope y'all are doing well. I was just trying to broadcast on a couple of other channels, and I couldn't get no play. So that was kind of a bummer. I was looking forward to chatting with some other folks, but the bamboo firewall here in Twilight Zone, Old Peking, deep within the central kingdom of the celestial dragon, just wasn't cooperating. Wasn't letting me punch through the veil, as it were. How we doing now, though? I gotta get out. Let me do a sound check. Sound check 1 2. Sound check 3 4. Let me head over to YouTube on my device here, see if it'll load up. I think I hear some rodents in the background scurrying around, playing with plastic bags or something. No, I'm not responding. Why is it not responding? Let's see here. Give me fives out in chat if you can hear me all right. Let's see if that's working. Late night with Frank Monday. It's late night for y'all. Give me fives out in chat if you can hear me all right. Sounds okay. Sounds pretty clear. Yeah, it's late night for y'all, but it's early day here. Actually, it's already pushing 4 p.m., so a lot of folks that I'm associated with and familiar with in the U.S. will be like 4 a.m., right? So yeah, it'll be late night for y'all. Let's see. Memphis, Tennessee, coming in at 1:47 a.m. Denver, Colorado, 12:47. Los Angeles, California, 11:47. So it's like before the witching hour, west of the Rockies, and after the witching hour, east of the Rockies. New York must be 2:47. Y'all, New York is the city that never sleeps, right? New York City. You guys know about a New York state of mind, or they call it the Empire State of Mind. You're at the top of the world. You achieved everything. Yeah, that's nothing like a Beijing state of mind. Y'all don't know about that. That's like going out in the alleyway with your dirty ass pajamas, pushing around a little dog in a baby carriage, spinning some walnuts in your hand. Yeah, Beijing state of mind. That's old school right there. That was from stand-up comedy days. I don't want to go through it all, though. It's far too harsh to be doing old school Frank Monday stand-up comedy on YouTube these days. Read the room, right? It's not the environment for it anymore. That was the 2010s, man. They launched Comedy Club China back in like 2009. And I watched him for like 2 years before I ever tried to do some stand-up. It's good fun, a lot of pressure. You gotta be a quick thinker, think on your feet. And you gotta write every week, man. Nothing worse than writing every week. I guess now that you can do AI-assisted writing, you could probably have a pretty good career in stand-up. Just have the algobots write the jokes for you. Be like, why don't you tune in on the current zeitgeist and write me some good comedy. Then all you got to do is memorize it, get on stage and say it. Just like a robot. When you got to think on your feet, you actually got to write your own comedy, man, you're next on the line, taking a real risk. I appreciate comedians, especially good comedians that work hard at their craft. We used to play at a place called the Hot Cat Club, and this Mexican guy from San Francisco came over here, and he's like, Hot Cat Club. He's like, what the fuck? Dude, this place used to be a restaurant. And I didn't even get it at first. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, name of the place, Hot Cat Club. Defunct old Chinese restaurant. I was like, damn. That's some fucking comedy gold right there, baby. He said he went in the local pizzeria, and they had something he had never seen before, a Mexican pizza. And he's like, Mexican pizza? What the fuck's that? They're going to bring out a pizza? It's got my dick on it? Ain't nothing Mexican about pizza. So funny. So funny. Love you, Nico Martinez, if you're still out there. Our first experiences on the internet, too, were on a internet, like where you could upload stuff. You could upload stuff to YouTube back then, but YouTube was pretty fucking ghetto back then. And so comedians would upload all their stuff to a website called Funny or Die. We're talking as far back as probably like 2007. So YouTube was probably only a couple of years old as well. And Will Ferrell started Funny or Die, and he kept it open until about 2013. Then he kicked everybody off of it and made it his own private thing. But yeah, he was trolling for comedy on the internet, Will Ferrell and his gang, SNL gang. But then they shut it down to user-created content. I thought YouTube would ultimately do that too, that they would only make it non-user-created content, like a streaming service. And then you'd be locked in. They could just give all the independent creators the boot, like the mom and pop shops, which they kind of do routinely anyway, right? Now they just figured out, hey, let them on, let them play their games, but we'll just throttle them all. And we're still going to push out the algorithm, regardless as to what people want to see, hear, and participate in. We give them what we want. Yeah, that's no kind of fun. Alrighty, right. Well, I just thought I'd touch base with y'all happy, good-looking, sex people and say hello. Maybe do some updates on the 100-day challenge. Pathways of Magic. If anybody wants to jump on the show tonight, just let me know. I will be dropping the link here in the ideas room, so check it out. StreamYard, FG8, NVV, JMDP. Put it in your browser. Yowza. Put it in your browser, baby. So let me check this out right here. Give you guys a little look at the 100-day challenge. Pathways of Magic. Let's go check it out. Check it out, y'all. See if that's gonna come through. Once I start upstreaming, usually, if I'm going downstream, I'm all right. But as soon as I upstream, that's usually when the bamboo firewall starts getting funky. Playing games. Yeah, 100-day challenge. Pathways of Magic. In it to win it. Moving into the next section too, right? Let's see here. So you did your vision board, setting up a vision board, scripting future outcomes, so on and so forth, working with your altar. Now looking at psionics. What about this? As we get pretty close to the end of the 100-day challenge. Psionics was a word I gleaned from, like, I don't know, what is that, like 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons? So mirror gazing. Have you ever tried any mirror gazing? Now I'm not talking about your ordinary, prosaic, mundane hand mirror or your mirror that's on the wall. I'm talking about a dark mirror, right? Which is more like taking an iPad. Get your iPad and turn it off. Make sure it's turned off so you don't get no notifications. Then polish up that obsidian surface. and set it there in a dark room, a couple of candles, and do that kind of mirror gazing, old school dark mirror magic. Y'all good looking people ever done that shit? Mindfulness, right? Psionics is about being in the all mind, the first principle of the Kabbalion, the all mind. Flame contemplation ritual. Have you ever done a flame contemplation ritual? Right? That's the one that's based on Franz Barton's exercises on getting your flashing colors, your inverse images. Yeah, this one's good fun, man. This one will bring a lot of light to the fathomless cavern. Send you a lot of reflections from the fractal spheres. So make sure you definitely check it out. I did a video on it a while back. It's probably in the Magic 101 playlist. The Flame Contemplation Ritual. Get with it, baby. Get it done. Self-actualization affirmations. Right? Here's this one kind of grinds my gears a little bit. When I think about the situation with so I was going to say the self-actualization ritual. What grinds my gears about it? Let me see, where's that? Yeah, self-actualization affirmations. When you hear, and I hear this out of a lot of folks, like they address the human body, right? The workshop of the subtle origin, our alchemical furnace, our Garden of Eden. When they address the human body as the meat suit, right? You've heard this before, right? Like you've been out there and you'll hear spiritualists. Who did I hear say this recently? Someone that really claims they've got, they're an internet guru and they claim they have a ton of spiritual credit, and they called the human body the meat suit, right? The soul trap. And I thought, man, you don't even have the slightest bit of fucking enlightenment if that's the way you look at your physical carriage, as nothing more mundane than a collection of molecules making up a meat suit, right? I know it's tongue-in-cheek. They're like the ghost in the machine, the spirit's powering the body, this kind of shit. But it's like, man, that's an outward expression of your inner spirit, as above, so below, as within, so without. Like, if you think nothing better than your physical human body is a meat suit, then you don't have much of a mind either, right? It's like this beautiful Garden of Eden growing into the world, and you're at the center of this kingdom. You've got full command of it, or at least you should have, right? Command of your thoughts, command of your words, and command of your actions. The only three things truly at the center of your sphere of control. If you ain't got that, man, you ain't got much. You've been usurped. If you think you're living in a meat suit, then your kingdom, your heavenly kingdom within, has been usurped by some sort of demoniacal force. Let's check it out. Magical mantras. Yeah, magical mantras like abracadabra. What does the Aniyahava, right? What does the magical incantation abracadabra mean to you? The Thelemites, they say abrahadabra. But yeah, it's the sound vibration, right? The frequency makes light freeze into matter in psionic patterns or whatever. Psionics. We're a creation of the All Mind, the All God. Yeah, they say you can't know the mind of God. Yeah, you can. He's whipping out human beings in a planar sphere, right? A plane with a sphere, and he letting them get to it, letting them get busy, and until they return. Hey, Barefoot Baby is in the house. What's happening? What's happening, Barefoot Sasquatch? Doing all right tonight? Happenstance viewer here. All right, good to hear. What's on your mind? What do you know good? Where are you hailing in from? I always like to figure out where people are, where they're at in the world. It gives me some reference at least to where they are in time. So for me, it's like afternoon. It's pushing into the evening. I think the sun goes down at 5 p.m. tonight here, local time, in Twilight Zone, Old Peking, Cincinnati, USA. Nice. I'm an American. I'm an OG Americana, an Angelino from California. But yeah, I've lived all over the States. I've never been to Cincinnati, not that I can remember. Cincinnati, Ohio. Is that right? Is that Ohio? It sounds like I should know. It's one of the major cities, right? Probably close to 1 million people. It's funny, American cities, other than New York and San Diego and maybe Atlanta, Chicago area, are all like right around 1 million people. Okay, good land. I'd like to visit sometime. I've driven through Ohio, I think. Let's see, if you're going north out of Denver and taking the I-40 out east, you wouldn't go through Ohio, would you? You would just miss it. I think I've just missed Ohio. What's directly north of Colorado? That would be Missouri. So I think the furthest in that direction I've gone is I've gone up the West Coast to Washington and Oregon and Washington, and then up the northern route into the 40, and I think out over Missouri, Kentucky, that kind of thing. That doesn't take you through Ohio. I'm not looking at a map, so my geography's not right in front of me right now. Barefoot, you'd like to chat online? Do you like to join the chat, or you like to chill in the chat room? Yeah, makes sense. I guess I'd have to go like I-20 or something, I-10 to get through Ohio. Good stuff though. I like the area. Cincinnati, that's probably at least 1 million people. I don't know. I guess I could check Wikipedia real quick, but I'm not going to. I'm talking about the 100-day challenge, Pathways of Magic. I got the course syllabus up here on buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. 100-day challenge, magical syllabus for 2024. So the 100-day challenge is just about doing something, anything, doesn't matter what it is. Could be football 100-day challenge, right? It's thinking about something and doing something every day for 100 consecutive days of concentrated effort. And for this particular one, it's magic. And right now I'm in this section of it. I'm working on psionics, the 7th knowledge lecture, the body of light. I was just now talking about magical mantras, presto, alakazam, abracadabra. What do you think about all those? Do you like to chat, do panel visits sometimes? All right, cool. Yeah, if you're willing to chit chat about magic, I don't know if you know anything about it, but that's basically occult studies, hermetic sciences, and esoteric Taoism is what I like to talk about. But I mean, I'm willing to talk about anything with anyone, as long as everybody's on their best behavior. I don't know if you've ever had any experience with the Insanity Machine and the Clown King Stefan. Okay. Yeah, that's all right. I think that's why we seek each other's channels out, though, because we don't know a lot about what the other person studies and is interested in. That's why I sought out Flat Earthers. I wanted to figure out, hey, I don't know much about it. What do you guys got going on over here? Yes, I am in China. I call China the Central Kingdom of the Celestial Dragon, because that's its old school name. And I say I'm in Twilight Zone, Old Peking, because I like to use the old name. I'm just being playful. And that's why I broadcast from behind the bamboo firewall. Yes, indeed. I've been in China since a long time, over 20 years now. But yeah, it is what it is. I try to come home every year. Sometimes I go 2 years without coming home. I'm from LA, but my mother's family was mostly from like Tennessee, mid-Tennessee, Appalachians. My mom's grandma used to live out there. I spent some time there. I really like that area. The TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority, can suck my dick. But yeah, that's a good, pretty rural place, man. I don't like getting down in Alabama much, though. The Bamidiots, man, they will not be kind to Tennesseans. But I like Tennessee pretty good. Pretty good. You got family from Knoxville? Nice. Yeah. I'd like to be there now, man. I'd rather be there than here, but I got to work and support my family. I came to China. It's a long story. I don't think you necessarily want to hear it, but it is what it is. I came here to study. I had a very strong interest in Chinese culture when I was a young boy in LA. I used to go to LA Chinatown a lot when I was a kid and buy shit. I liked Bruce Lee and, Kung Fu, that kind of stuff. And really the philosophy and the language is why I came here. I wanted to learn the language well enough to be able to read guys like Lao Tzu and Zhuangzi and all the other Taoist philosophers in their original language in Chinese. And it's taken me 35 years to be able to understand it. I'd say 30. Probably 5-10 years ago, my Chinese got to a point where I could read Lao Tzu pretty easily, better than most Chinese at this point, and understand what the fuck he's talking about. For Xiao, interested in how you got to China 20 years ago and stayed. Yeah, so I had been on a Chinese trajectory since I was a teenager, early teens, when I learned about internal alchemy and the Taoist arts, like how to do seminal retention and build up your kung fu by making love to girls, but then not ejaculating and then recirculating that energy and turning it into a different type of fuel inside of the body, right? Like a more mental fuel, but at the same time continuing to circulate it throughout the body. And so the Chinese believe that for a man, spiritual immortality means to cut off your ejaculatory function and refine all of your seminal drive to be in the world back into spiritual energy. And then you can become an immortal spirit. Otherwise, you just waste all your energy into the world. You're just jerking yourself off into death. And then at death, if you don't hold anything back, your Jing Qi can't power you into heaven. You'll become a hungry ghost and then fall down into the lower plane, like the clip off, like below the tree of life, down into the real hell realm. Not the realm we're in. People call this a hell realm. They ain't seen shit. When they squander all of their spiritual energy and then die as, an atheist, then they're going to become a hungry ghost and know what the real hell realm is like. The constant longing for sustenance and not being able to get any. Yeah, so through Chinese internal alchemy, you have to control your energies to an extent that you can make love. You could be in a monogamous relationship, or you could just be a wayfarer, but you make love. That's why I think it's so odious that they profane everything. Like sex, rather than people taking sexual discipline seriously, it's all just pimped out there in front of you, and it makes young men over-sexualized when they're really young, and they get into ejaculating. They do it their whole life, and before you know it, they're jerking themselves off to death, growing hairy palms, and that's not the way to get it done. And then at the same time, they vilify women's sexuality and don't make the act of making love and childbirth into something sacred. They profane it. They're like, just get a fucking abortion, and it's also debased and mundane. It's just really, really bad. I think that's one of the biggest deceptions. And in fact, from the way I understand it, according to the teaching of Tao, there are 3 great deceptions at play. And the very first deception is the denial of spirit and saying that we're just scientific materialism. That's the first great deception, that we're all just globs of protoplasma giving birth to consciousness. And so this is reverse of what it should be. What it should be is that we're spiritual entities manifesting a physical existence in this plane, and you whatever it is after that, that's up to you to define. But the first deception is that matter animates consciousness rather than spirit animating matter. And we can see the truth of it if you look up to the great thunder god Zeus. He rains down lightning bolts into our prime material plane as pure masculine heaven energy, and then brings things into life, right? Animates them through the explosive propensity of the lightning strike down the tree of life from the godhead Aether. And then the second great deception is putting Hokmah and Bina at war, the war between the sexes, and saying that, masculine and feminine should battle it out rather than be in harmony. And that's the second great deception. And then the third great deception would occur like at the realm of Vegubra and Hesed. So Kesed or Hesed. And so then that creates the abundance, scarcity, false dichotomy, right? And in the world, man's way is to take away from those who do not have enough and give to those who already have too much. But the way of heaven is different. Heavenly law, natural law, God's law, he takes away from those who have too much and gives to those who do not have enough. And so that's the third great deception. So all of mankind's teaching, for the most part in the mainstream, is to deceive his fellow man. And that's not good. That means they're working for the devil, right? Team evil. What did Iron, are you from Ironworks, Barefoot? Did you come over from Ironworks channel? Ironwork 92,000? No? Because I'm not sure. Yeah, 20 plus years in China, man. No, it's not responding well. Yeah, so at any time, if I lose you guys, I'll try to come back on. I got a little time. I think I got a couple of more hours to roll. I'm just gonna hang around in the abodes of the Aether here. But if at any time, I'm putting it up there on the board right now. The internet's always unstable from here, so if I dip out at any point, I'll try to come back. Yeah, so that happens sometimes. So what I was talking about, was what I call the three great deceptions. The deception of spirit, the deception of sexuality, and the deception of scarcity, right? Those are the three primary ones that I've identified. And with the first one, the deception of spirit, when you take spirit out of the world and you take away the mystery of the Godhead stabilizing everything, that's when you get into all of these things like gravity and spinning globe and that kind of thing, where the lie really starts to take form. I just clicked to see what was live and found a channel. Okay, that's interesting. I've done that a few times. And sometimes YouTube doesn't show me anything. And they claim that YouTube's got 100 million channels on it. And I wonder why when I click to see who's going live, it only shows me like 2 or 3 channels plus a bunch of news channels going live. And I think, damn, if there's really 100 million channels on here, it seems like there'd be hundreds and hundreds of people going live whenever you click on the search to see what's trending and what's live. But yeah, I don't know that. I hope I'm not stepping on anyone's toes though, because I know a lot of panel chats that go live now. I learned about panel chats about 3-4 months ago, and since then I've discovered like probably a dozen panel chats. I went from knowing about 0 panel chats to like at least a dozen within just like 3 months. So that's pretty fucking cool. Let's go through a few of these banners right here. Yeah, so I like to do you know much about Hermetic science? Barefoot Sasquatch. It's kind of a funny name, huh? Barefoot. I can't even see your icon there. I don't know. Same, most of the channels always show me here, just aren't listening. Yours copy. Okay, cool. I appreciate that, man. Late Night with Frank Monday. Yeah, before I talk about that, I'm going to try to scroll in and look at your headshot there. Is that really a picture of you, or is that just like some sort of glam shot, man? Because that looks pretty nice. It's black and white. It's well shot. Somebody with photography skills did that. I may change it to Barefoot Sasquatch. Yeah, I thought that's what it was. When it just said barefoot, like my mind actually said Barefoot Sasquatch. I was like, it's the first thing I fucking thought. Funny. Yeah, do you know much about Hermetic science or the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor? I don't have much knowledge about these things, but you have my attention. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you about it. It's the Hermetic Brotherhood of Light, right? Lux essentially means light. So the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor was the precursor to the Hermetic Brotherhood of the Golden Dawn, which was the precursor to the Ordo Templi Orientis and many others. So since then, there has been the Golden Dawn and Temple of Astarte. They're all like, I guess you would call them mystery schools that talk about the Western mystery tradition. So the Western mystery tradition is that, the story of Christ throughout the, old school biblical stuff and new school biblical stuff but mostly as metaphor, like metaphors for internal alchemy. So the Hermetic Brotherhood would say that the Christ consciousness is a metaphor for internal crystallized light, right? Like light comes out of stars as a frequency, and then as that light appears in our prime material plane, it crystallizes into form. So according to the understanding that I've gathered is that we're all essentially part of celestial families. Like we dwell in heaven. The kingdom of heaven is within us, and we dwell there really like in real time right now, but we're projecting into this realm and manifesting a human body for a while that you're working with to do different alchemical experimentation in this prime material plane. But who you are, if you're an immortal spirit and you don't squander your spiritual energy, right, then you just return to the celestial sphere when you're done here, and you're a part of a bigger family that hangs out on Earth sometimes. Sometimes you hang out up in the sky, and that's part of the mystery. I ain't got it all figured out yet, but I'm working on it, and I try to gravitate towards that which makes sense to me. Like, it makes more sense to me than scientific materialism and atheism, right? I don't see any proof of atheism, and most science is beyond my reckoning. Like, I've got a college level education. In fact, I have a master's degree in literature, but I didn't study science. I studied the humanities, right? So I'm just a guy, a lover of mythology and fairy tales and philosophies and that type of thing. You can question me on philosophy, but I'm not going to know much about my hard sciences. Let's see what we've got here. Barefoot says, do you have videos of that start at the beginning and gets you up to speed, or does it really take a lifetime to understand it as something new? Yeah, I wouldn't say, like, okay, I'll give you a quote by Lao Tzu. Like, so one of the Chinese philosophers in this tradition, I would say that Hermetic science and Taoism are essentially similar, very, very similar. Like, we don't know, but we're trying to figure it out. But Lao Tzu said, those who know do not speak, and those who speak do not know. So if my lips are moving, Barefoot Sasquatch, and I think that you could probably determine that my lips are moving, then I'm probably full of shit. So according to Lao Tzu, if you say it's this or it's that, then that's absolutely what it's not. Like, as far as humans dichotomized mind goes, and it's a paradox, right? It's a conundrum, it's a riddle. The only thing we can do is point out what it's not. We can't actually point out what it is. And so when people try to point out what God is or what the realm is, then they're only lying to you. They're just pointing out what they can figure out that it's not, right? The leftovers, the crystallized vibration, all of those things passing into the past. Like, they really haven't got a grip on what things are right now. And so I like to think of myself like Socrates, right? I don't know shit, so I'm here to ask questions. The Socratic method is essentially that, right? You admit that it's, when it comes to a false dichotomy, you've only got one of two choices, right? Because that's what a false dichotomy is. You've got poison hemlock or exile. And so that's always the dilemma I'm in. Every day I'm out here with the sword of Damocles hanging above my head, right? Ready to lop my fucking head off, just as entrapped as the rest of you. But at least I attribute, or I prescribe to I would call it a belief system, a group of philosophies in Taoism and Hermetic sciences that points to liberation through understanding the metaphor and through being good, right? The famous quote by the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor, which I was telling you about, is that, along with some of these others, right? Like, those who know do not speak, and those who speak do not know. But essentially we have this, where did it go? I lost it. Okay. Yeah. So the Brotherhoods of Light believe, or it could be stated, and again, this is going to be wrong because I'm putting it into language, but where was I going with that? I should rewind, and I lost my train of thought for a second because I had some activity here in my studio. I had a rat running around with a plastic bag and it threw me. That's okay. Yeah. Well, that we have an immortal spirit, and there is a kingdom above us, right? As above, so below. And like I was talking about with the flat earth guys a little while ago, they say if you look through a really powerful microscope, you don't see any of the wandering stars, the planets, so to speak, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Mercury, whatever. You don't see terra firma. All you see is like little balls of energy spinning all around each other and stuff, like going fucking bananas. And when you look at it that way, it's like, well, maybe the Taoists were right. They believed that each starry cluster in heaven was a collection of immortal beings hanging out and partying with each other. Like each of those are grouping centers of supercharged, like the old school guys would say that they were pagan gods. So like the Jupiter Center is in fact Jupiter. It's a bunch of spiritual beings aligning and hanging out and partying, and they're all in immortal form. I can't disprove it, I cannot disprove it that the kingdom of heaven is on earth, literally meaning that it's sitting on the firmament. So there's a lot to it, but like for Hermetic sciences, yeah, that the chemicals in the body can also give birth to the Philosopher's Stone. And Philosopher's Stone is essentially what? It's the awakened human mind, that you've done away with all the opinion and bullshit, and you've let all that settle, and you arrive at a truth that is higher than the human mind can understand, but can't see, right? Like the human mind can't put it into words, but in the mystic moment, like mysticism, in the mystic moment, you can actually perceive the truth directly, and you don't need to put it into words. So I think that people who study this path, like myself, if people ask you, do you believe in God? I'd say, I don't need to believe in God, right? That would be like asking someone if they believe in gravity or something, right? Like it isn't something that you need to believe in. If it's there, right, you can perceive it. So like for me, I don't have to believe in God because I know God. I've seen it. I've had my eyes opened while sitting in meditation, and I've opened my eyes while sleeping, and I've opened my eyes in like genuine physical death. I've been revived by the hospital a few times. So I've had 3 near-death experiences where it required shocking me back into this body and being like, motherfucker, we ain't done with you yet. Get back in here, come back. And so I've sat at the throne of God, and I don't need someone to ask me, or to tell me what it's all about. And it's not like I can't put it directly into human speech, because it starts to become unclear, because I start telling you what it's not. What I thought it was, what it looked like to me, but the only thing I can really tell you is what I know it's not. And so at least that's good. At least I have a reference point, right? I know that in the world, you're only offered one of 2 choices, poison, hemlock, or exile. And I'm not choosing either one of those. I'm like, okay, how about the third option? How about we ask some fucking questions instead? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so welcome, Barefoot. If it's your first time, don't let it be your last time. Please hit the likes, sub the channel, all that happy horse shit that makes YouTube's algorithms bark like Pavlov's dog. Because aren't we all just barking for the algorithms when it comes right down to it? Yeah, so I've got I got a syllabus here. And so the 100-day challenges, maybe my next challenge will be some other sort of 100-day challenge. I haven't thought about it. Usually I do 2 a year. They start at the equinox and they run through the solstice. So they start at the time of the equinox and they run to or about the time of the solstice. And I do 2 challenges a year. The next challenge could be a flat earth challenge. I don't know. I don't think so though. So in this one, I'm in week 7 right now, which is all about these things I've shown here, and I've moved on to this one here. So doing the LBRP with focus on the altar space enhancement. So this is an interesting concept that comes to us through Hermetic sciences. So you put things on your altar space. I'm not sure if you have an altar or not. Let me see where I got lost. Barefoot. But if you have an altar space, or you've ever kept an altar or something like that, you know something about this, then you put something on it that you project into mentally. So with creating internal visualization, using your 3D processor with your eyes closed, you have something in front of you, and then you project yourself like a G.I. Joe figure onto that checkerboard and interact with whatever items you have set up. So an astral temple is when you actually take a chessboard and set it up so that it's like a Freemasonic initiation chamber, right? With like small icons to represent pillars and, basically like a token to represent yourself. These days with 3D printing, you can really make elaborate magical temples in order to work with in this capacity. So basically you're like just closing your eyes and using your built-in VR headset, the one that's God-given, the most powerful one in the universe, the one that is self-generated, right? Where did you get your VR headset? Well, it's sui generis. It generates within my body, that's generating from an eternal, all-living celestial spirit that's manifesting this workshop, this alchemical garden of delights, the Garden of Eden, your human physical body here on earth. And so for getting cast out of the garden is when you transition from childhood into adulthood, right? That's God's angel throwing you out of the Garden of Eden when you start to develop enough memory to start to figure out all the bullshit that's going on around you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's about the size of it. Nah, it doesn't require a lifetime. Like my old guru back when I was a teenager, I learned Kung Fu from a Chinese guy. He's a doctor of Oriental medicine, traditional Chinese medicine. And he told me, he said, Frank, if you're going to figure it out, you're either going to figure it out in 30 seconds or 30 years, one or the other. He said, but if you're going to figure it out, you're ultimately going to figure it out. Right. So when he said that, I realized it. You grok it. You either grok it immediately or it takes you a long time to grok it. And he said those who are going to figure it out are going to figure it out. And those who are not going to figure it out, they're just not going to figure it out. They'll be turning their back on it forever. And so according to Lao Tzu, again, he said that the world basically has a division of 3 qualities of people, right? Those who support you, those who oppose you, and those who just don't give a fuck, right? So 30% of the crowd will like and support you, 30% don't give a fuck either way, and then another 30% will directly oppose you. Well, those who support the way and study Hermetic science, they could number in 30% of the world population maybe that are trying to figure it out anyway, right? And then there's another, third of the population that just don't give a fuck either way. And then there's a 30% that is actively lying to you, that is actively trying to deceive you away from truth. Yeah, if you don't get it now, you might ultimately, I mean, if you're going to get it, you're going to get it because you're looking for truth. And ultimately, all algorithms of truth finding should lead you to truth. Right? And as long as you're not engaged in a lot of self-deception, then yeah. So that's the fun thing about Taoism. And like Hermetic science is a form of Taoism, in my opinion. And I'll type Taoism here so you know what I'm talking about. Chinese Tao is written with a D. Taiwan Tao is written with a T. So they're basically the same thing. The Taiwanese one is a little more religious, and the Chinese one, which I consider to be more old school, is actually a little more scientific in its approach. But from a Taoist perspective, figuring it out is, well, and again, according to Lao Tzu, right? Lao Tzu said figuring it out, that's not everybody's job. He said sages and hermits and the true intelligentsia of the world, they are 1 in a million. And when not everybody needs to even worry about figuring it all out, because they're just getting busy with the world and, raising up and falling down and giving birth and living and dying. And they don't even give a fuck anyway. So why are you going to bother them with that, right? Why are you going to try to force them to figure out what's really going on? That's not your job. That's where my studies of it differentiate from common religion. And from anybody really on the internet these days. They're trying to sell you something. They're trying to convince you of an idea. Whereas the Taoists were like, we figured out our own ideas. We don't give a fuck if you study them or not, right? We've got nothing to sell you. It's like water, right? Clear water. Only the person drinking knows what it tastes like. And so pure Taoism is just like a fresh, cool spring of pure water. It doesn't taste like anything, but it's life-giving. It doesn't have any color. It's translucent. There's nothing to offer your eye. There's no entertainment. It's boring as fuck. It's just like breathing and sitting Not with your mind empty, though. Here's the difference. Buddhism seek towards nihilism and say it's all empty and illusion, whereas Taoists say horseshit. It's full of fucking life and vitality and good times. Enjoy it while you're here, because when you check out, there's no guarantee you're going up or down unless you figure it out now, right? So with the religious people, they would just say, oh, just believe in my God and you're saved. Whereas with like a Methodist, a Lutheran, a Taoist, her study of Hermetic sciences, we're like, that ain't fucking good enough. I got to get into God's chamber, the inner chamber, and see him face to face before I die. I'm a man who likes brass tacks. And see, that's the thing. If you seek God, he'll show himself to you all the time. I mean, truly seeking him, humbling yourself before the throne of God, and sticking your head out beyond the veil. But it's dangerous, and most people shouldn't do it, because I'm here to tell you from personal experience, being in God's throne room usually causes instantaneous death. And again, if you've survived it a few times, then you might get a little bit arrogant and start kind of feeling like a big shot, which you should not. That's the opposite. The other thing is too, once you start figuring shit out, then you start getting a little bit arrogant and telling people what you think it is. And again, that's when you start pointing to something that it's not, rather than something that it is. So yeah, like I said, I could boil down my 35 years of study into 30 seconds, right? And I like to do that. If I can't explain it to you in 30 seconds, then I can't explain it to you at all. Then I shouldn't even be talking about it. So you've got, and I'm not going to go too deep into it, because you figure it out in your own interpretation, and then whatever is true for you is the truth, at least for you, right? These conundrums, these these magic spells that we create through speaking. Whatever you believe to be true is true, at least for you, because your mind won't let you think that you're insane. Your mind will protect you, and so your subconscious is going to go right along with you, like the devil's advocate. They're like, oh yeah, fuck, whatever you believe true, that is true, homie, you're right. Goes out there and proves it. That's why you should be a little bit wary of what truth is. Maybe a little more deep meditation and direct experience of the truth is helpful. Why do I still have music playing in the background? Can you hear that music? Is that louder than my voice? Man, I guess I should turn that off. That's kind of annoying. I don't know. Maybe it was adding to the ambiance. Thing is, I totally forgot it was playing. And I don't even know if you can give me fives if you can hear me. Are you jiving at all with what I'm putting down? Barefoot warrior, barefoot Sasquatch. And is that do you have a YouTube channel? Do you make videos? And like you said, you sometimes might go on and chit chat, shoot the shit with someone. If so, I'm posting the link once again. Finnegan. Got the link there if you want to join me and have a little banter. I'll chat with whatever you like. I'm picking up what you're laying down. All right, good man. Good man. It's getting if my clock's correct, you might even be West Coast. Are you in the Western? Sometimes if I drop the window, that'll help. Stop screen. Bam. No, looks like the bamboo firewall might cut me off. If I do dip out, I'll try to come right back, guys. Eastern time zone, really? Eastern is Ohio? Is that? Are you the one from? You said you were from Cincinnati, Ohio, right? Is that East Coast? Yeah, it is, huh? Oh, you know what? In my mind, I always fucking confuse Idaho and Ohio, right? Sad. Sorry about that. Yeah, Ohio is 3:30, man. Wow, you're at the hour of Karanzan, right? 3:33. The wicked, demonic guardian at the threshold. If you hit the wall, we'll be here when you get back. Yeah. Nice. Okay, good. I appreciate that. Good looking out. East of the Rockies. And now this the Mason-Dixon line, it runs east to west. So you would be north of the Dixon line, right? Or is that an east-west thing? It's like the Mississippi River or something is the Mason-Dixon line? Not raised a Southerner. I was raised again in Los Angeles, California, by a Navy guy. So, he used to tell me my dad's from all over the world. He was born a New Yorker and spent 22 years in the service, right, floating around Pacific, Atlantic, both. So he'd been all over the world. But he used to always tell me, he'd say, "Never leave California, son. Never leave California." And I would talk about some other state or something, Dad, what's Arizona? What's Nevada? He'd be like, "There ain't none of that shit. It's all fake." So there's only California. And so he never encouraged me to learn about any place but California. He's like, "You don't fucking worry about anything else." He's like, "California's the only place you're ever going to live." He was diehard that California was the Garden of Eden and the kingdom of heaven on earth, which I guess it used to be. I mean, if you think about a World War II veteran, coming back and rebuilding the U.S. after graduating from World War II, Southern California at that time was all Navy boys. So it was fucking heaven on earth. At least for the guys who did well in the military and didn't get thrown out or killed, they graduated with honors, and it was a really good thing for them. They all started businesses, had houses, wives, families. They were living the American dream, and they had earned it, I believe, I guess, if the greatest generation, if the story goes correct. That's right, east of the Mason-Dixon. Okay, I got you. Yeah, I'm not going to get too deep in my American geography. I've traveled nearly all 50 of the states. I've been up in the direction of New England, New York. I've been in New York, Boston, Maine, as far north as Maine, I guess, and Vermont, and North Carolina, South Carolina. I've been down into Florida. I've been to Myrtle Beach. That was good fun. I was 22 when I went to Myrtle Beach for the first time and saw the sun rise out of the Atlantic Ocean. But I've been mostly down south. I've been to Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Tennessee, Kentucky. What else is going on out over there? Texas. I've been around in Texas. I had a sister in Texas for a long time. My dad lived in Texas for a while too. He liked Texas. When you're coming out of LA and you got to drive to Tennessee, my mom's family's from Tennessee. Typically, you go up into the mountains and go through Barstow and then just drive down the I-40 all the way. So I've done that like 10 times, probably 10, 15 times. Cross-country driving back and forth from Tennessee to LA. From Nashville to Los Angeles. Oh, God, what a fucking drive. Your ass hurts after that drive. I can't imagine long-haul truckers. Motherfuckers been driving their whole life. Yeah, I drive cross-country a couple times, and I can't bend my back for a month. I drove from San Diego to Portland one time, and my back was broken. I think I did it in like 72 hours or something, though, right? And my back was broken. That's fucking... And just long haul truckers, they do it in a single day, I would imagine. Yeah, no. LA to Nashville takes me 3 or 4 days. San Diego to Oregon, I think you could do that in 2 days. Drive like 10 hours a day or something. Yeah, you've done Ohio to San Diego? Yeah, it's a killer drive. I've done the PCH a couple of times. and then I went a couple of times in my 20s. So I've seen almost all of the entire continental US, but I don't actually think I've ever driven through Ohio. I don't know. I'd have to look at a map. I've been into Illinois, Michigan, all the way up to the top of Michigan. I haven't been into Minnesota. I've crossed the as far out there as the Badlands, as they're known. Yeah, you gotta give me a second. My Bluetooth headset is dying. I hate that shit. Let's see if this one works. Okay, this one works. Okay. All right. So yeah, that that finishes off the coursework for this 10-day. So the 100-day challenges go in 10-day cycles. Motherfucker, shut up. Sorry about that, man. I got Bluetooth screaming in my ear, and it's in Chinese. It's saying 没电请充电你的电量低 which Bluetooth is dying, and it's very persistent. It was like every 10 seconds. Your Bluetooth is about to die. Your Bluetooth is dying. Let me see if I can hook this one up. Yeah, it might work. Let's see if it works. You are connected. Can you hear the music? Is there anybody in there? Oh no, okay, let me see. Pause. Play. Alright, I hear it now. Yeah, now it's working. I'll drop that back to 0. Okay, good. So you can't hear me still? Excellent. Yeah, so that finishes off the coursework for this 10-day in the 100-day challenge. 10 days. I like to do them in 3 cycles, right? The first 33 days is the rising cycle. The next 33 day from 34 to 66 is the plateau. And then the last 67 to 99 is the descent. So the 33, got the 33 encoded there. If doing the LBRP with focus on the altar space enhancement. So this aspect is basically path working. I don't know if you know what path working is with like the Kabbalah. It's one of the tools used in Judaism. It's I think it's written about in the Jewish book of the law, not the Torah, but the Sefer Yetzirah, or the book of spheres coming into manifestation. But the Hermetic tree of life is different than the Judaic tree of life, right? You got to make a distinction between those two. So basically, Hermetic science is using a diagram, a schemata, to explain the cosmos, and then using that same schemata, as above, so below, as a universal expression, a universal template, but also as a microcosmic template of the human body, and then using that schemata to achieve enlightenment and spiritual immortality and this kind of thing. So all of the stories in the Bible become allegorical and alchemical metaphors that you use for the individual human being. Like the birth of Christ is the birth of the Kundalini, right, at the lower Dantian. And then the 33 years of Christ, or the 33 degrees of the Masons, are the 33 bones in the spine. So your spine has 33 bones. And then that will get you up to the temple. The temple is the skull, right? Golgotha, the place of death. The skull is the crystal palace where the pineal gland sits. And there are 22 bones in the skull. So you have the 33 vertebrae and then the 22 bones of the skull, which each bone represents one of the Hebrew letters. So the Hebrew alphabet is 22 letters. The skulls of the bone are 22, and then those letters each represent one of the tarot cards in the major arcana, or the great teaching, the great secret teaching, which is the book of Thoth, the book of Tahuti, the book of life and death, right? So the major arcana represents your journey from 0.0 all the way up into the palace. And so the idea of the angels getting cast out of heaven is that all of your angelic forces, those that reside in your celestial dantian, the mind palace of your skull, have fallen down into the lower realms, right? Like the terrestrial sphere, which is the sphere of emotions, and the infernal sphere, which is the sphere of the activated sexual energy, right? That's why it appears to us as demonic when people are engaging in perversion of sexuality. When they engage in perversion of emotion, then we see them as weak and emotional vampires. And it's only when people are using, logic and reason, but balanced with intuition and creativity. So when you balance both spheres of the dichotomy, the Taiji, the yin yang symbol in the mind, when you balance what we used to call left right brain, right? When you're truly, oscillating between intuition and creativity and logic and reason competently, when these two things are in harmony, that's the definition of enlightenment. You've broken through the false dichotomy of it's either left or right. It's neither left nor right, right? It's right down the middle, right up the middle, whatever you want to say, right? So if you're coming into the world, it's down the middle. And if you're leaving the world, if you're leaving the horse shit of human opinion behind, then you're going up out of the world. So, and that's what old Jesus Cristo, the big old Jesus, that's what he was talking about, the G-man. All right. Yeah, and I write it this way because this encodes it more in Freemasonic language, right? Jesus Christ. So you have the G-man manifesting through the lightning bolt down into the child, the Christ child. And the Christ is the crystallization of electric forces. So God flashes into the world to create his child, the Jesus Christ. We got a question out in Happy Land. Frank says, what was the quote you mentioned earlier about it not being anyone else's job to figure things out for you? I don't know. I mentioned the quote of Lao Tzu, which just says, if my lips are moving, then I'm lying, right? Basically, those who have figured things out don't talk about them. They just keep them internalized. And then those who are always running their mouth, they ain't figured out shit. They're just telling you what it's not, right? They're pointing at things. I mean, but you have to say something. Like Lao Tzu wrote this, and he wrote it in a book that is 81 chapters long. So he's like, well, right up front, I can tell you that I'm speaking, so it's basically full of shit, but I'm going to try to get you as close to the truth as I can without making myself look like an idiot, right? And I think that's very much like Socrates. So the name of that book is All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Am I back? Am I back? Hey, I got a phone call coming in. Golly. Give me just a second, guys. I'll be right back. Give me a second. All right, all right, all right. Sorry about that, y'all. Yeah, I hit that bamboo firewall, man. Quote you mentioned earlier about not being everyone's um job. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. The quote I was talking about actually comes from. I could tell you the guy. I don't guess it matters or not, but it actually comes from a guy named Master Ni Hua Qing, which is a funny name in Chinese, but yeah. So Master Ni Hua Qing, he's the one that said that. He said, and he told me this in person, man to man. I studied his as his apprentice. Um, but he told me, he said, 90% of the people don't want to figure it out and have minds just like cattle. So basically, he was of the opinion that 90% of everyone around is basically just like NPCs. And he's like, you shouldn't go around bothering these NPCs trying to wake them out of their trance. He said, because number one, they're not going to. No matter what you do, there's no way to wake them up. And then number two, they don't want to be waken up, and you're going against their free will, trying to teach them things about enlightenment. He said, so realize that the people who study spiritual truth are few and far between. They're sages, they're wizards, they're magicians, they're high level philosophers, stuff like this, and they seldom go into the public sphere and talk about what they know. For the simple fact of the matter is that what I said here, right? They don't want to say what they know, because then divine immortals like the beings of light, the truly powerful, even the demigods and the archangels, and then like, of course, God himself are just going to laugh at you because you're casting your pearls before swine, so to speak. So the part of the mystery tradition is that you dare to know and then you be silent, right? So you've probably heard that before: to know, to dare, and to be silent. But it's really, you have to dare to know, number one, and then you have to know to keep your mouth shut. And then there are two other parts to that. That's called the riddle of the Sphinx. The riddle of the Sphinx has 5 questions, right? What should I know? No se te ipsum, know thyself, right? What should I do? Do thou will, right? Dare. Love is the law. Thou will is the only thing to be done. And what should I say? What should I talk about? Be silent. Say nothing, right? And then the next 2 parts, I'll not tell you because you have to find them through your own research. But know that the riddle of the Sphinx has 5 parts. I've just told you 3, right? To dare, to know, and to be silent. Yeah, Master Ni Hua Qing, he's a fun guy. I lived with him for 2 years as his personal secretary. I took time off from college. I had done 2 years of undergraduate study, and I wanted to be a doctor of Chinese medicine. And so I took off. I left college. I left my girlfriend. I left my family. I left everything behind, and I went to live with Master Ni as his servant. I was his chauffeur, his cook, his house cleaner, his gopher boy. Right? I would set up all the digital audio tapes at his public talks. I would organize everything like just a little factotum work slave, and I did it for free. I didn't get paid anything. In fact, I had to use my own money to support myself for the most part, but I was in a position where I could do that, and it was a lifelong dream to study with a great master of spirituality and Tao. Yeah, so I lived with Master Ni Hua Qing. That's a legit. You can check him out. His sons would probably admit it, but I think he's already passed from this world into the world beyond. I might be wrong though. I know he lived to at least 107 years old. If he's still alive, I would be surprised. Because when I was working with him, he was like in his 90s, I think, or late 80s. Anyway, yeah, that was a fun experience. I could tell you some shit I've seen, man, because I've been having spiritual experiences and paranormal encounters since I was a kid. But living with Master Ni was a big eye opener. It makes I'll tell you that the statement is true. You should never meet the people you admire, right? Because it turns out that they're just everyday, regular folks. Like even the guy who you think is the pinnacle of spiritual truth, a real wizard at the top of the mountain. When you go and meet him, he's just a regular dude trying to eat and take a poop and get a shower and give talks and talk about shit. He's just a regular dude, no matter what else you might think he is. He's just a regular. But that's the beautiful thing. We're all regular dudes, and ain't nobody else any better than you, because they're just regular dudes. Even if they got all the money in the world, all the intelligence in the world, everything. They got all the toys, which Master, he didn't give that much kind of fucks about toys, but he did. He loved money. But it's kind of a letdown of sorts. No, it can be. Yes, it can be. Like you figure out that even an immortal, like an immortal spiritual being, his physical body is going to come to death ultimately in this material sphere. Like we can't achieve the high levels of longevity that they did before the cutting down of the old growth forests. I think that the subtle energy of our plane, our material plane of existence, was probably much more potent with huge megafauna and megaflora. And we could achieve things like several hundred years of existence through cultivation. But I think that we've fallen from grace. Again, it's a spiritual journey down from heaven into earth, into degradation and perversion. I'm not saying it's a hell realm, though. You can still have a lot of fun here and enjoy it, but I think that we are of celestial origin, not material or even lower. I mean, scientific materialism says that you came up from the monkeys. So, and part of you did, part of your physical manifestation in this plane is that form of organic biological life. Give me a second, guys. I got to answer the door. All right, that guys. My chillins is home, so I probably got to roll on into the future, I guess, in a little while anyway. They're busy. It's Friday night here. I got home a little early from work because we get off early on Fridays, but they had to stay in school until the bitter end. Good to meet you, Barefoot Sasquatch. Yeah, they're just like us. That's right. And even the most, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Even the most venerable sage still just eats 3 bowls of rice a day and poops in the toilet. You know what I'm saying? Like, beyond that, but you have to go higher level than that. I mean, that's the prosaic, mundane expression. But when you sit in meditation and they can show you things directly into your mind because you know they're sitting in meditation too, and you can have fellowship on another plane of existence and see everything all around you and see them in like scintillating bodies of light, and then they take you out and show you something that shows you the spiritual truth. But that's not something we should talk about, right? That's an entirely different level of perception, and so we got to keep that under our hat, to know, to dare, and to be silent. Yes, good chatting with you, man. I hope you come back again. And I typically am only able to go, I do live streams on Friday and Saturday because those are my days off, sometimes on Sunday. But yeah, usually Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, and sometimes Sunday morning, Saturday and Sunday morning. If you've got a channel, I'll sub you, right? You sub me and I'll sub you back. Let's see. Did you say that you post stuff on your channel, and are you building your sub base? If so, I'll definitely try to check it out, but you got to give me the name of your channel. Is it just that? Is it, because I imagine, do I just put @barefoot and then I can find your channel? Okay, yeah, not to worry. Just keep an eye out for me, and check back often. Maybe drop a comment on the video, any of that old fun stuff. I appreciate y'all having a good time out there in Happy Land. I definitely miss being in the States, and I'll probably be back living in the States in like a decade. Always barefoot 55. Okay, I'll check that out, man. Yeah, I'll at you and come sub your channel, and we keep building the kingdom from the ground up, man, because it's been usurped. Our throne, our heavenly kingdom, has been usurped by a deceiver of a lesser countenance. Some just dastardly rat-like figures trying to grab the reins and take control. And we know that ain't right. So let's kick the rats out of the kingdom and keep on keeping on. I love y'all, good looking sex folks, and I'll see you in the abodes of the future. Keep doing good magic. Ad astra per aspera. Until next time, bye for now.